Hey, Coach, so why don't you tell us how things are going? I know we don't have a lot of spring practices under our belt, but enough for you to get a feel. What do you see out of the club? Are you impressed with, are you pleased with what you're seeing?
Super encouraged, Wags. So today was our fourth practice, our first time to actually tackle live, but we've been, been a pretty physical practice camp, spring ball to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just encouraged by our demeanor, our work ethic. Defensively, guys are flying around to the ball. I love their attitude there. Ty and Masai look like different people.
Right.
Ty, his confidence level, his grasp of the offense. He looks like a totally different player this spring. So I've been super happy with him, and so has Masai. Masai's played really well. We're probably faster at a lot of spots. I love our defensive ends that we have, our Raiders and our defensive ends. At A-back and at B-back, we're probably as fast as we've been in a long time. So a lot of encouraging things, Wags.
One of the things Coach Jasper mentioned, and then also when I talked to John Marshall and I just asked him, what are you seeing out of the offense? And I asked particularly about Ty. Every single person has said he's coming out as he's more of a leader. He is taking charge. He's decided that as a quarterback, he cannot be passive. Can you talk about that perhaps?
Well, I really think he earned it. I think just being in the Army game and beating Army he's catapulted his confidence. Like you said, though, he's a lot more vocal. He's bringing great energy. He's seen things, all the things that Coach Jasper works with him. Going against, Coach Newberry's defense is really hard.
Right.
They do a lot of things, but he's recognizing things. So I'm just encouraged because in our offense, if the quarterback plays well, we're going to be fine. And so I'm just really encouraged by that.
So is Masai, do you feel like he is, definitely deserving of consideration to be the backup? Xavier's not here, but that's his loss.
Well, just Masai, I think, just jumped leaps and bounds. We knew the kid always had it. He's a talented young man, but had other things going on, but I think he's got everything in order. He's had a really good, 4 practices. Been really pleased, with both of those guys. Because when the quarterback gets us in the right play, this offense works. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter.
You never know.
Because it's all based on numbers. It's all based on angles. And so when your quarterback understands what's going on, we got a chance. And so that's why I'm so encouraged right now, again, by the quarterbacks, but also just the whole demeanor of our team. We're running to the ball on defense, playing elite. We've had some big plays by our slot backs, so we got some speed on the edge. And so it's just super encouraged right now.
And then at the end of this scrimmage situation, I saw Kai broke a nice run. How's that experiment coming?
Really well. So he knows the offense, obviously, but just learning stuff from the quarterback position. He's a smart kid. He's a hard worker, and he's doing good things.
And the offensive line, how are they coming along? Because you're going to have 3 new starters, I believe. How are the young guys that are being put into the lineup to replace the veterans looking, especially at center? We're trying to replace Pierce Banbury.
Well, really excited about Dave Hickson. He's got a chance to be a really good player. Right now, Kip is limited, what he can do, Franklin, and he was probably our best lineman last year.
Right.
Lyra Mertezi too. Both those guys are limited this spring. So we got a chance to see a lot of guys. Sam Glover, Josh Pena, who was a starter last year.
Right.
Ahmad Bradley, is doing a good job. And also Jamie Romo started against Army. So we're getting a lot of young guys in on both sides of the ball. And going against our defense, like I said, is a great litmus test because we do so much.
Right.
So if you don't know what you're doing, it gets exposed real quickly. So a lot of good things.
So one thing I want to I'm going to be talking to some guys who were on the scout team last year and are trying to break onto the depth chart. And you had mentioned in your news conference with us to start spring, prior to spring, that that's one of the fun things about spring camp is that you get to see guys on the scout team and evaluate them. So does it basically here in spring there is no scout team?
There's no scout
you just
team.
Put however many teams deep you got to go, 4 or 5. Everybody gets reps.
So it's a great time for everybody because it's a time to show what you got. And so guys that in the fall were on the scout team, now they're actually getting live reps, they're getting reps. And so just a lot of good things, and just guys that maybe were limited in what they could do, we get to see their actual playing ability. And so it's big opportunity for all those guys.
So there were some guys who were on the depth. Like I'm going to talk to a couple of guys, Logan Point, the fullback, and Kroy Myers, who's a wide receiver. They were on the depth chart, even though they had been on the scout team. How do you evaluate scout team guys? I mean, is there a way to do that, or is it based on just your thoughts on what their talent is?
Well, their effort level, how they practice. Sometimes they get in drills, special teams drills. Special teams is kind of the first kind of test that we kind of see who they are, and then they kind of make it through there. But again, most of these guys, in the spring, the defensive guys, we tell them don't tackle. The offensive guys are kind of limited. So now they can hey, just play ball. And so you kind of see their talents come, surface and come to the top.
Well, I wanted to talk to some guys who served on scout team last year and now are getting an opportunity to show what they can do. That's coaches all say that's the fun part about spring is you get to see some of these guys that you really weren't able to evaluate in the fall because you're on the scout team servicing the offense or defense. Kind of tell what's it like for you to know, and you must have been very excited coming into this opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely very exciting for me, but at the end of the day, it's no different than it is scout team. Just come today humble, keep your head down and work. So
how do you approach the scout team? I mean, obviously, do you feel like you can show the coaches something even though you're on the scout team? Do you feel like if you play with effort and maybe make a big play, break a run against the first defense, that'll be noticed?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's more just your work ethic than anything. If you show up and grind every day, I think they're more excited for that, rewarding hard work, than even what you can do as a player. So in terms of what type of, were you a straight running back in an I formation in high school? Yeah, one back offense.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much different is this for you, and how have you been able to learn what it's like to be a fullback in the offense when you're running scout team where you're not going to be doing what Navy does with their fullback?
Yeah, it's definitely been a different experience. Most stuff, in ACC, or AAC that we run is one back on the scout. So, but like Air Force Week, I got a lot of good reps there because basically running the same stuff that we run.
Right.
So that was a lot of good experience for me, and got me pretty beat up, so that was cool too.
Right. Well, in terms of you were open this spring on the depth chart, were you surprised by that?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, we were told it's wide open, so I just in our workouts just been putting 100% effort every day, keeping my head down. So I'm not gonna say I'm surprised or not. I think it's just put in the work.
And now that you're over here with competing for a job and competing to stay on that depth chart, you realize it's pretty damn competitive. There are a lot of guys want to.
Oh yeah, there's no room for error, and definitely got to show up to work every day. And the mental side too. Just got to stay in the game at all times.
So obviously, this offense is a lot different for a wide receiver than what you were accustomed to at North Point High. How have you been able to learn, especially when you're on scout team and you're not doing the exact same things that a Navy receiver would do? How do you learn what's expected of a wide receiver in this offense?
Well, it's really just reflected upon in the wide receiver room. The culture that Coach O presents is a very, very straightforward and clear-cut thing, and it's a lot more mental selflessness and being tough, and then the work ethic that comes with it is just good. Coming from a power spread offense at North Point, scout team just helps really hone that craft. So if and when I do get the opportunity to run that route or have that big play that Navy does here and there, is so I can make the most of the opportunity. But being in as a Navy wide receiver or a silverback, that developmental piece with blocking and being sound and being selfless is the big thing there.
So when you're on the scout team, do you participate in the wide receiver meetings?
Yes, sir. It's really just being a selfless person. Like, you just enjoy it. Like, it's fun. That's the fun. You bring the energy to the defense, make them compete, and everybody's competing at a higher level.
Right, but you're able to learn some things. You're sitting in the back of the meeting room hearing the same things that guys like Michael Cooper are hearing.
Definitely, yeah. So you're hearing what the offense is going to do. So if you do get called, if your number gets called or you hear, you get your opportunity, you won't be just, lost. So you still are getting those mental reps, even if you aren't getting the physical reps in practice.
So were you surprised to find yourself on the depth chart going into spring camp based on the fact that you were on scout team and you didn't really have a chance to show the coaching staff what you could do?
Scout team is kind of more of an opportunity than some people see. Like, you still get to showcase your skills, so when spring ball comes around, the coaches know what you can do, so you can just fill in the role and learn the plays and execute them how you know how to execute them.
So how much are you excited about this opportunity? I mean, that's what Coach was telling me at the beginning of spring. This is a chance for guys who served on the scout team last year to show that they belong on that depth chart and to travel with the team when we go on the road.
Excitement, I would say, is an understatement. Like, because you're grinding head down on scout team all year, and then you get the opportunity to showcase what you can do after earning your spot through spring and fall camp, and now you're ready to just showcase on the big stage on Saturdays.
So who do you rely on to get maybe for some advice? I don't know, Coop is probably around still and you could talk to him, but do you talk to some of the older receivers or guys who are about to graduate like a Cooper and try to get some tips?
Yeah, I know 2 receivers that I look up to. I told them I wasn't going to tell them this, so hopefully they don't see this. But Jay Umbarger, he's number 87. Yeah. And then Mark Walker and Kamari Williams, those are kind of the 3 guys that I look up to, like just the work ethic, the hard work, the grind, the toughness, just being a silverback in general.
Follow their example.
Yes, sir.
All right, great, Kroy. Thanks, man.
Kroy, one more question for you. You have the number 0, second year it's available. Why did you want to pick this number?
I actually didn't pick the number. It was kind of just given to me. Like, I don't really care about the number. The number is really more about the player than it is the number. So it was just kind of like, oh, do you want it? And I was like, why not? Then it's more, I could have got number 99 or number 84. It really didn't matter. Whatever number it gave me is just an opportunity to make the most of it.
So we're here with Nolan Barber. And Nolan, I'm talking, I asked you some of the same questions I've been asked Kroy and Logan about serving on the scout team. I mean, obviously as a freshman, you kind of expect that. It's hard to get on the depth chart as a plebe. Mm-hmm. But how did you approach it?
I approached it with an opportunity to get better every day and make the offense better as well. And, when you're on scout team, you have 2 things you can control. You can control your effort and you can control your enthusiasm. And every day, I just went out there with elite effort, like the coaches like to preach, and showing great enthusiasm out there, trying to get my teammates better, and also trying to get myself better while I'm over there. Because I got to go against a really good offensive line all season last year, and I feel like that made me a better football player.
Probably a lot of head-up opportunities against Pierce Bamberry. Right?
Yes, yeah, me and Pierce definitely got to get after it a little bit last year, and I think we made each other better last season. So
I was going on that front. So when on the occasions that you might have gotten the better of Pierce Bamberry, does it give you confidence?
It definitely gives me confidence when I'm able to perform well. He definitely made me a better football player last year. Obviously, he was a pretty big guy, great football player. So it was just a great opportunity to go against him every day.
So coming out here in the spring, and like coaches say, this is your chance to show you deserve to be on the depth chart and not back on scout team. Nobody wants to go back on scout team as a sophomore. What's your attitude? What's your approach?
Every day, you're not safe. You can move on the depth chart anytime, anywhere. Every rep counts. You got to approach every day hungry. And Coach Hall always preaches in our meeting room, even though your body might be tired, approach every day with the day one mentality. And that's what I do. I come out here. I don't feel safe. I don't want to get complacent. I just take every rep, every set, with the most effort I can possibly put into it. And then when practice is over, watch what I can do better, take notes, ask questions, and then try and get better the next day. So it's all about stacking days.
You try to pick the brain of a guy like Biscuit to learn, because he's played a lot of snaps, game reps. He knows what he's doing.
Of course, we're very fortunate to have Biscuit in the room. He has a lot of experience, obviously playing since he was a freshman. He has a lot of knowledge of how to play in this defense. So I definitely try and pick the brain of him, and he's really good about giving me different tips when he notices something I can be doing better. So that's really good for me.
I believe, is it Bryson Greer? Is that your classmate?
Bryson, he's a grade above me.
Okay, but he was in the same position as you, pretty much scout team guy who's trying to. Is that competition between the two of you to, like, everyone knows Biscuit's a returning starter, so now they're looking for a backup since Clay's been shifted to tackle. But I'm sure you and Bryson are good friends and you work together.
No, me and him are really good friends. We are in the same rack in the weight room, me, him, and Biscuit, and we just push each other every day. He's a strong kid, works hard, and I try to do the same thing. So it's good. It's good. It's a good relationship we have, and we push each other every day.
So I know it's early in spring. You learning a lot?
I'm learning a ton. Every day we have meetings, obviously, and I watch myself, and you think you had a good, really good practice, but then you go in the meeting room and see all these little things that you can be doing better, and that's really humbling to see. And we have such a great coaching staff that coaches us up really hard, and it helps me out a lot as a football player, just own in on the small things, and, try to stack days, get better every day. So I'm learning a ton this spring.
So when we were talking to Coach Newberry on a Zoom interview at the beginning of spring camp, and I asked about some scout team guys, and he mentioned your name because you're on the depth chart. He said you were making good progress last season, and then you got injured.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Yeah, so I was coming back, right out of plebe summer, just working, hurt my hip flexors, and then I've just been trying to get back ever since. I lost a lot of weight over plebe summer, so just getting that back. I think you said again like 15 pounds. It's been quite a bit of weight. I'm like up to 265 now. I think I came out of plebe summer 235, 240. So
right.
Just getting back into it. I mean, I was out of football for a long time, going on my church mission and stuff. So getting back into it, learning all this stuff, I love it. It's just hard work, grinding, hitting people. That's what I like to do.
So the off-season conditioning must have been absolutely huge for you.
Yeah.
In the weight room, out, all of what goes with this off-season strength and conditioning.
Yeah, putting weight on, working hard, building that camaraderie with my brothers. I love it all.
Well, so, I mean, Coach had mentioned you fell behind to the point where it was hard for you to get back. And did you end up coming back at the end of the season last year?
Yeah, so I was working back. I think I dressed the East Carolina game.
For homecoming,
Yeah, and that was a tough loss, but it was good to get out on the, with the jersey on the field, work back a little bit, and be there at the end of the season. So I've just been working back ever since that injury.
So despite not being able to get the practice reps, did you feel like you got good mental reps in the meeting room?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're all in the meeting room with the same guys from the first string to the 10th string or whatever it was. So just working with those guys and learning from the film and watching the other guys get yelled at, watching you get yelled at. That's how you learn.
So how important is this spring for you to prove that you deserve to be on the travel squad, that you deserve to dress at home games, to be on the depth chart? I mean, you have already, your classmate Reed has made an impact last year in games, so he's got a little head start on you, if you will.
For sure. I mean, both the guys ahead of me are studs. We're all young. We got a really young defense. Justin's a freshman with me. Busic's going to be a junior next year. So we're young, and they definitely got the head start, and I'm just there to work with them. I think we're all really good. So working all three of us together, I think that's better than anything. I mean, I don't think one of us is ahead of the other, and we can just work together and get the job done with each of our skill sets.
Well, as I was on that note, I mean, you're competing with these guys for a job on the depth chart and for playing time, but I would imagine it's not animosity, and you do work together, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not be like, oh man, I'm mad, I'm upset. We all right next to each other in the locker room, 93, 94, 95. So we're sitting there, someone else gets yelled at in the locker room, we get yelled at.
Right.
So it's like, we want to be together, we're working for the same spot, and I think that's what kind of drives us all to get better. Someone does better at this thing, I want to do better at that. Jay Reed does good at this. Busic does good at this. I want to be like that. So it's really good for all of us because we're all pretty different in our skill sets, where we come from. So just kind of building that up, building each other up, it's really good for us.
How do you feel you've been doing out here so far this spring?
Good. I mean, I feel like the first week I was really in my head, like I don't know what I'm doing. I got to learn all these plays. But the last couple of days I really feel like I've settled in, felt more relaxed, and just kind of playing my style of football.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you so much.
I got more questions for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that like?
It's different. I mean, all my classmates are, some of them are just turning 18. So it's like, I don't know. I can only hang out with them. We got a lot of plebe rules. But it's fun. I mean, I have a little brother that's 19, that he's like one of my best friends, so it's not much different. And then my other little brother is 15. So they're my best buds anyways. It's not much different, just treating everybody like they want to be treated and being friends. So yeah. No, so it's actually kind of a crazy story. I don't know how much time you have or how in depth you want to get. So my senior year, I always wanted to go to Stanford. That's where I was going to go. That's what I was going to do. I got hurt. I broke my pelvis. Had surgery on that and tore my shoulder, my labrum. So that didn't work out. I ended up signing with Utah State. Left on my mission while I was gone. Coach Wells went to Texas Tech, who recruited me. And then the new coach came, Coach Anderson. Then he got fired. So when I came back to Utah State, they were like, we don't have a spot for you. We don't have a scholarship anymore. So I was like, I just got back from my mission. I was like, I don't know what to do. I still want to play football. I was in school already at Utah State, just working, grinding. I was like, please let me walk on or something. They wouldn't let me, so I was calling everybody up. My old football coach, high school coach, was at Pleasant Grove, that new coach Dupay. So he was like, call Coach Dupay. I was calling everybody. I was deep in the recruiting process with Air Force. Coach Dupay's like, we want you, but you got to get in the transfer portal. So I ended up getting in the transfer portal, and then I was getting phone calls like crazy, like, where's this kid coming from? What's going on? And then this was the best opportunity for me. I always want to play for a school with a good education, hard-nosed football, and I'm really glad I came here. It's really tough, but it makes me a better person. So.
What's it like to be at a service academy now?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I never thought I would be in the military like this. I mean, I'm not doing too much with the military stuff yet, but I'm glad. I love my country, so it's good to be here. And I really need kind of the discipline. I mean, I'm not like a wild guy or anything, but I like having everybody around me that wants the same goals. Everybody around me is motivated. They want to be successful, and they're working to be the best they can be.
And lastly, what's it like being back in football after so much time off?
Oh my goodness, it was so hard being away from it, and I miss it so much. I love when we go full go like that to hit people and just kind of have that energy. I like when we have kind of like the little scuffles at the end of practice like we did last week. It's really good for me to just, I don't know, I feel like I have a little bit of advantage there because I really was out of it for a long time. I missed it a lot. I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I want to go. I want to play football. I know what it's like to be away from it for a long time, so it's really motivating to kind of prove myself and, I'm still here. I can do this.
And lastly, any nickname do you guys have for you?
Any nickname?
Grandpa, anything?
Some of my company mates call me that a little bit, some funny things like that.